Hello, everyone, and welcome again to one of our meetups, ServerlessDays Amsterdam. And hi,
Woo!
Leon.
Hi,
It's been a
Mark.
while, right? Jeez.
I have completely forgotten about serverless for the last 3 or 4 months.
Oh my
I've
God.
only been doing Kubernetes. No, I was taking a little bit of a break, focusing on my own life that I actually have. And now that, spring is here and we're allowed to go back outside and serverless days
Oh
is
yeah,
back. Yeah, so I'm very excited about today.
yeah. So am I. Yeah, and good to see you again. Definitely. Uh, you even now are moved places, right? So you're now in a new
I
house, new setup.
I did. Yeah, I have a new camera also, so now I have to like wear
Fancy.
makeup because now it's like, you know,
Everything is high res.
exactly. But yeah, I'm so excited about, all new, and I hope that we will be able to meet in person also at some point again. That would be very
Yes,
nice. And
exactly.
maybe,
Yeah.
I don't want to jinx it, maybe we'll have even a conference at some point again. That would
Oh,
be amazing, right?
that would be amazing. Yes, I'm very
And
much looking forward to that. Yeah.
yeah,
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 yeah. Let's make it happen, Anita. If
of course,
everything
yeah.
goes according to plan, so please let it happen. All right, let's have a look at the slides. Um, so again, still online, but we will have some chats with the co-organizers soon about moving to also in real life or hybrid. That's still up for discussion. It's always the first Wednesday of the month that we do this. So you know what our schedule is. We have some house rules. We have a Discord server where you can ask your questions. You can also ask them wherever you're viewing, so also on YouTube or Twitch. But the speakers will also be on Discord a bit later. So if you want to interact with them, that is the place. We have a code of conduct, so please make sure that you are aware of the rules. Just be kind to one another. And that it goes for all of our platforms. So today we have two speakers. Pavel is going to speak first about deploying Lambda functions using CI/CD and infrastructure as code with the AWS stack. I'm a big infrastructure as code fan, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then a short break, and after the break we'll have Jan talking about the CQRS, the serverless solution. I'm also a big fan of anything event driven, so I'm also very much looking forward to that session and his way of presenting, because that will not be a very standard way. So
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be. I feel like I'm back to school when I saw a setup.
yeah, exactly,
It's going to be really
exactly.
interesting.
Yeah. Definitely looking forward to that. All right. So yeah, let's welcome our first speaker, Pavel.
Yep. Hi. Hello. It's nice to be here with you.
Hey, yeah,
Here,
thank you so
there,
much.
whatever. Today is.
Yeah, thank you so much for being available indeed and sharing your knowledge with us. I mean, that's the whole idea of serverless days, that you can all learn from one another. So thank you very much for that.
My pleasure.
Do you want to get straight into your presentation? Do you have a short intro
Yeah,
as part
my
of your
short intro in
presentation?
will be some in the middle of my
Oh,
presentation.
oh, in
So,
the middle. That's
yeah.
refreshing.
No,
Let's do
kidding.
that.
Yeah, so yeah, I have two slides only.
Okay,
No, of
okay.
course I'm kidding. Yeah, we can go straight then. Why not?
All right,
All
all
right.
right. Well, the
Let's.
stage is yours.
Thank you.
If there are any questions, we will collect them, and people,
Sure.
and then we will share them afterwards with
Yep.
you, as we can
Of
go
course,
through them.
and I try to answer as best as I can. Okay, so hi everyone. Today we'll talk about AWS only except the code of the function. Obviously, it will be Python function, very simple one. Let's say. This approach is what I want to show you is not necessarily GitOps yet, but very close to be GitOps approach, right? GitOps is another buzzword today, so let's talk about buzzwords. But first, what I want to go through is, as I want to show you how to design, maybe not design, but create approach using infrastructure as code to not only Lambda function itself, but also to the CI/CD, first we need to finally set what CI/CD is, right? So first thing what I want to do is to ask you about this, right? So very often I hear that, yeah, we are doing CI/CD because we have Jenkins, right? Jenkins is only the tool. It's not the process. It's not the approach. It's not what DevOps says about CI/CD. And not only DevOps. This is only part of it. So what is CI/CD? Let me explain. After my introduction, I said in the middle. It's not in the middle. It's almost on the beginning. So my name is Paweł Piwosz. I'm lead system engineer at Meetup Systems, based in Krakow in Poland. I am DevOps Institute ambassador, where we take care about human side of DevOps, AWS community builder in serverless area, and recently I become CD Foundation ambassador. So that's enough for my presentation, I would say. So what is CI/CD? With these two things, these two parts, CI and CD, we have in fact three parts, because we have CI, we have CD, and we have another CD. And this make a lot of confusion, right? And I mean it, a lot of confusion. I did last year around 50, 60, I think, technical interviews, and I see that there is some kind of misunderstanding of it. So let's make it clear, right? So what are the elements of CI/CD? First, of course, is continuous integration. And very simply, very shortly, very maybe not in the perfect way, but what it is. Continuous delivery is a second part of this thing with slash, and we have another CD, what is continuous deployment. So now, continuous integration, this is like a collaboration part, right? We are creating the code, we are sending this code to one repository, we are collaboratively work around the same code. We say here about regular commits, we say here about branching, what means really branching strategies and approach, how we commit and how we work with the code. We say here about unit testing as well. We say here about different kind of scans, security scans, quality scans, etc., etc. For example, SonarQube or stuff like Checkov or TF scans or whatever other scans for infrastructure. We build the artifact, and we store this artifact somewhere. And this is the end of CI. And then continuous delivery starts. Continuous delivery means automated tests. And automated environments means automated delivery of the artifact to these environments, means kind of automated or partially automated way of control what is delivered, I mean, about these artifacts. And I'm calling this one-click deployment because there is a break. Before your code hit the production, let's say hit the production, there is a stop. It's time for some manual action. It can be the release process. It can be just simple someone who is looking on the code, looking on the test effect, and says yes, right, go. So one-click deployment. Continuous deployment has only one slight difference. This is the automated process of installing or deploying stuff everywhere, including production. There is no stop, no manual steps, right? I call it zero-click deployment. Very small difference in the names, but here is the clue of it, right? Because there is no possibility to manually check if something is okay or not. We commit, we have it on the production. Only automation, only automated tests can catch the problem. All right, so short example how it looks. We have commit, static code analysis with SonarQube, for example, unit tests, we're building the artifact, we test this artifact. For example, we can test if container is able to be spin up, if our Lambda function is doing what it should do. We can test it locally as well. Here locally, I mean in the CI/CD process. And then we store this artifact somewhere. Then we come to CD, and we have this collection of the artifact step, deployment on one environment, tests, deployment on second environment, tests, manual approval, and deployment on production. When we remove this step, we have continuous deployment, right? With manual approval, it is continuous delivery. Here, it is continuous deployment. Today, we will do something very simple with this thing which I show you. We will do it. We'll do something simple, but as I am DevOps, we will do it in complicated way, as DevOps do things. So we will have API gateway, and behind this API gateway, we will have only one simple Lambda function. API gateway with one endpoint and simple Lambda function. But we will create a whole CI/CD pipeline using AWS Code Pipeline, which will build with CloudFormation. I have code already there. I have this CloudFormation already deployed to not waste our times waiting for deployment. But you will see the whole elements how it is going. And what is better even, the pipeline, the deployment will be done through AWS CloudFormation, but also the pipeline will be created through CloudFormation. So completely automatic process, let's say. Before I jump to the presentation, a few explanations for those of you who don't know or didn't have experience with these elements about which I will talk later. A few information about every single step, every single part we will do. AWS Lambda, what it is. Come back. AWS Lambda is obviously the serverless solution from AWS. It is part of the compute services from AWS. We have different runtimes we can use, starting with Python, Node.js, Golang, .NET, etc., etc., etc. And recently, AWS added the possibility to run Lambda on ARM architecture, what is quite nice. And we have some limitation with Lambda, which I need to mention because this is very important. This is cold start, right? So cold start is the time needed for Lambda in order to prepare everything what is behind it. So this means micro VM. This means all packages, everything what is needed for your Lambda to be executed properly, right? This time can be different, but this is very important because for some cases, it can be even a couple of seconds. And if we are talking about web page, where the latency is around, for example, 200 milliseconds, and you need to keep very high latency for your service, cold start can give you additional 2 seconds, and it will not look very well. If you look on Cloud Guru, if you know this platform, this learning platform, and you know what to look for, you will see this cold start how it looks on the real life, really, because Cloud Guru is built completely on serverless. All right. In order to deploy this serverless, this Lambda function, I'm using something what is called AWS SAM. This is the approach from AWS to create Lambda and the infrastructure around Lambda as a code. Right? It is serverless application model. This is the short name, and SAM is giving us the possibility to not only deploy the Lambda function itself, That's why I mentioned this is the direction to GitOps, because SAM is giving us also the possibility to deploy additional related to this Lambda resources, like for example API gateway with proper endpoints, like DynamoDB, like S3, etc., etc. SAM is an extension to CloudFormation, so it can be used separately as a separate CloudFormation template, or can be part of the bigger stack, right? But that's why it's very flexible, I would say. And as I said, this is extension for CloudFormation. It's time to say a word or two or five or whatever about CloudFormation itself. Obviously, Terraform is the most popular infrastructure as a code tool because it works for different clouds, right? And has a very big community which is working on improvements, new versions, new services, new approaches, new modules, etc. But CloudFormation is AIC approach to for AWS only, right? So here we talk about AWS related infrastructure as code approach, and we can create templates for our infrastructure. Personally, I use more often CloudFormation because I used more often with AWS, and this was the tool which I learned first before Terraform. So that's me, and it allows me to use SAM model, right? So this is also the connection here, I would say. Okay, for CloudFormation, we will use the approach which is not very popular but should be. It is CloudFormation change sets. We can think about CloudFormation change sets in terms of approach to CI/CD. You see, we did a circle here because CloudFormation change set has two things. They have a create of change set, where let's visually describe this in this way. We are creating like a temporary template or whatever with the changes which we will apply to existing stack, right? And then we are executing this change set. And this is the actual deployment. So we have two elements which we can split between CI and CD process, right? For CI, we are creating artifact, which is this change set. And then in the CD process, doesn't matter if this is continuous delivery or deployment, we are executing this change set. Beautiful, right? So in AWS for the CI/CD, we have code pipeline, and honestly speaking, I'm not a great fan of it. It has its own limitations. It is quite tough to learn from scratch, and especially if we talk about code deploy, which is the CD part of code pipeline, is quite unnatural at work, I would say. But as we are using AWS, we will use code pipeline here. And honestly speaking, funny thing is that I have no idea how to create a code pipeline from the AWS GUI console. I always do it from CloudFormation. So probably I will be able to click here and there and have this pipeline, but definitely faster for me is use CloudFormation for it. So code pipeline is the approach, is the service for CI/CD, and what we have inside, what kind of components we have for our CI/CD. A few of them. So first is code commit. This is just the Git repository, code repository, right? The same approach, the same commands, everything works the same, like for GitHub, GitLab, whatever. We have code artifact, which is well, in terms of IT, not that new, but pretty new. It has like 2 years maybe or so, 1.5. And this is like Artifactory created in AWS, and we can store multiple packages there, like .NET nuggets, like Python in pip, like Node.js in npm. I think there is also Java, right? We have code build, which is the working horse of code pipeline. Generally, we use code build for everything except deployment. Many people are using code build for deployments, especially if the pipeline is built for executing Terraform code. Because code deploy works very easily with CloudFormation, not necessarily with Terraform. And as I said, code deploy is quite hard. So code build is very often used to deploy. Generally, code build is used for collecting the code, doing tests, creating artifacts, sometimes promote artifacts between environments even. Right? Code deploy is the tool for deployments. Simple. The power of it is that we can easily, or let's say easily, connect or use code deploy to deploy our artifacts to different accounts in AWS. So this is very important. And also code deploy has the functionality of creating very nice blue-green canary deployments for ECS, for EC2 instances, and for Lambda functions as well. And all those elements here, maybe except the code artifact here, are closed into code pipeline, right? So code pipeline contains these blocks here. We have also Code Guru, which is not the part of code pipeline itself, but it is very useful tool for two elements. First, it can scan your code and give you advices how to improve your code based on machine learning and usage of like 1,000 or maybe even more repositories stored in code commit for different projects, and can act as a reviewer for your pull request, for example, right? So you don't need to have like a manual, a real person who will do code review, but you can use Code Guru to do this review for you. And one more thing, those elements here, all of them except Code Guru, can be, let's say, closed in something what is called Code Star. Honestly, I'm scared of this service. I used it once and I just in panic remove everything because it created a couple of pipelines, resources, things which I didn't understand for my very, very, very simple stuff. So I said, okay, AWS, it may be beautiful, but I prefer to do it by myself. Do you remember what we will deploy? If yes, that's good. So we know what we will deploy, and now it's time to say what we will use in order to deploy this. So we will use AWS Lambda, obviously, right? We will have API gateway. That's also obvious. There's two things we will deploy. We will use SAM model, SAM CloudFormation, and also pipeline will be created with CloudFormation. We will have chain sets, event bridge in order to give the information to the pipeline that something was changed. We will have code commit for code, code build, couple of them really, code deploy, SNS topic in order to send the message, because we are building here the code, the continuous delivery. Of course, we need to have also the IAM, because the policies, the roles need to be there, and also S3. This is internal for code pipeline in order to exchange the information between stages. Let's say this way. So these things for one API and one Lambda. Yeah, this is DevOps, right? So if you think that's enough of icons, now let's have a little bit more. But before that, this is the repository when you can collect the code if you want to play with it by yourself. And this is what we will build, right? Or what is already created by me. So we have code pipeline, which is here. All right. This code pipeline is built by CloudFormation. Code is already there. So this repository doesn't contain the creation of code commit. Only the, let's say, the reference to it. In order to run my pipeline, these 3 elements, tests, build, and deploy, I need to inform the pipeline that something changed in my code commit. For this, I'm using event bridge and event. So if something changed in code commit, event is triggered and sent to code pipeline starts. I have one stage for testing. I have second stage for building the package for SAM model to be deployed. And I have the deployment process, which contains also the manual step, which is performed by sending the notification using SNS, right? And this deployment is using SAM in order to deploy API gateway and Lambda function. Simple like that. So code deploy, I said it has some steps inside. In fact, it has 3 steps. And yes, I know what I said before, that create change that can be used as a CI part, and I put it here in CD part. I did it on purpose to show you this break between the steps and how we can use it, right? So we have create change set here, then the manual approval, which sends the mail to my private account, and then executing the change set. And that's it for talking. Now it's time for showing, right? So let me show you the code first. I hope the screen with my code editor is visible for you. Let me try to make it a little bit bigger. I don't remember where it is. It should be something like, oh, better. Okay, so let's start first with infrastructure as code for code pipeline. This is what we will create. First of all, I have 2 parameters. One is for the email. This email is used for sending them notification, hey, I need your approval, right? And this is second, which is like a additional for the repository. If you create the repository with this code pipeline, with this CloudFormation, you don't need it, right? Because you can reference to that differently. I have my S3 bucket which is used to exchange the information between stages, right? So I have test stage. This is not the best example. I have the build stage. This build stage is creating some artifact, and this artifact can be sent to another stage to be used, right? And it's not sent like that directly. It needs to be stored somewhere in S3 bucket. I create the notification topic. I create a lot of rows. So here I will just scroll. They are not perfect. They definitely are not least privilege, but close enough, I would say. And then I'm defining the pipeline, right? As you can see, I'm using the type AWS code pipeline. First of all, I need to have the role assigned to the pipeline itself. And here I can define the stages. So first stage for me is the pull source. And this is the only one stage which is obligatory for code pipeline. You need to have it. Obviously, you need to have code from somewhere, right? And what we have here, we have the name of get source. There is no input artifact in this term, that there is nothing in S3 to be collected, right? I just need to send the information or give the information to the stage from which repository, from which master, for which branch I'm pulling the changes, right? Here I can say if I set this parameter to true, pipeline will check continuously with some intervals if there are changes or not. So as I have this event triggered by my change, I can set it to false. And as you can see, by output artifact, I defined lambda source output. This is the name, like a logical name only. So this is the first stage. Second stage is more interesting. It is here. Again, the name, what kind of action. Oh, this is action source, right? Category source, owner AWS, which means code commit, really, right? So here for action, I have category test. AWS means that I'm using some AWS provided stuff, in this case code build. I have my input artifact, lambda source output is here, right? The same. So if I do not do that, I need to pull code again using git clone or whatever. It's not very wise, I would say. Then I send this, my artifact. It's not needed here, but I'm sending this artifact to lambda tested output. So different name, as you can see. And here is the configuration of the stage. We will be there in the second. I have third stage, which is build artifact, very similar, right? The same code build, etc., etc. I have my source, I have my output, and I have my configuration, which is a little bit different. Lambda test, lambda build. And on the end, I have the stage for the deployment. This is the deploy. So code deploy. I'm using provider CloudFormation because it is deployed through SAM model, SAM template, which is CloudFormation, basically. I'm taking this artifact from here, this internal artifact, let's say. This builds my artifact, this use my artifact. And I have 3 stages or actions in this stage. Let's say this way, actions. First is create change set with run order first. So this is executed first. And the configuration is change set replace for stack, for change set name, etc., etc. Then I have second action, which is manual approval, category approval, run order to. So this will be second action in my stage. And execute change set, which is deploy, CloudFormation again, run order 3, and what to be executed, right? Execute change set for this stack, change set name this way. We'll see it how it looks on the console. And this is the definition where the artifacts are stored and exchanged between the stages. So here is the configuration. You remember we had this lambda test configuration, project name, lambda test for our stage, lambda test, right? So it is here. Code build project. We define the name, blah, 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 things what are obvious. We use Linux container, which is general one small. This is definition from AWS, what we need to do, what kind of image we use in order to build our artifacts. And this is the classic, let's say, a kind of classic approach to the stage, right? So probably you recognize this kind of approach with, I don't know, Jenkins, Travis CI, whatever, right? It's very similar. So we have different phases. I'm installing Python 3.8. I'm using the runtime Python 3.8. Here I'm installing a couple of testing tools, create tests, and the interesting part is here. I have two, let's say, report types. I have code coverage and I have the unit test, right? So that's why I export or publish two different reports, Lambda test unit and Lambda test coverage, right? So I have two directories to which I create them, those stuff. For example, coverage, you see here I send the unit test to reports, and also I have coverage which I copy to coverage directory. So this is for everything what is in the directory reports will be published under the Lambda test unit report, and everything what is based in coverage directory will be published under this report. For Lambda build, it's generally the same thing. The only one change is that here I'm building the package, right? This is the SAM definition of building the package, and I just publish this package as a zip file. So the zip file is created for me from these two files. So I don't need to create the zip by myself. It is created in this way. This thing here is the event which I create, right? So this event is based on AWS code commit. When code commit repository state change, push, pull request, etc., etc. For resource, here I'm building the IRN of the repository. In other words, what this repository is, where it is, right? This unique identifier of the resource in AWS. So you can think about this if you didn't work with code commit yet. You can think about this like a URL to your repository in GitHub. And this event will be triggered for branch called master only. So if I push something to any other branches, it will be not triggered. And if this happen, if this trigger will occur or this event will occur, please execute this target, right? This one. So the same IRN for my code pipeline. And this is the association for my code guru, which is not important at this moment. And how the template looks like for my function. Right now it's a little bit bigger because I'm playing with this template also for my observability part. But generally what we have here, we have here a couple of resources. Important resources for us are this one. This is API created by me, and Lambda function itself. If I do not use this definition, I can define the whole API here, really. So if I remove this API will be created for me. So what we have here, this is the most important part for us at this moment. Lambda function, this is the internal logical name. The type, if you know CloudFormation, this is quite obvious for you how this is constructed. And for proprietaries, we have the handler. So the handler is the place in the function inside your code which will be executed when your Lambda is triggered, right? This is this first element. Where the code is located, Lambda function. So from this place, SAM model will take the code and deploy. What is the runtime? Python 3.8. the policies, if you want to attach some special policies to your Lambda, for example, your Lambda need to access something, etc., etc., you can have it here. I'm creating the aliases, so I versioned my deployment, so I can have multiple versions of my Lambda. So I can come back. The description, memory size, timeout, tracing. This is for X-ray. It's not for this presentation. Different layers. They are for observability. So I'm saying that maybe sometime you will ask me to show this as well. It's okay. And here we have the definition of the API, right? So in this case, I'm connecting to my API here for this endpoint. Just slash. Simple like that. And just to finalize the thing, the Lambda function itself, not this one, is very, very, very simple. It executes for functions. I set it as a for functions just for having test and proper report from the test to show you how it looks like, So I do the very simple mathematical operations. That's it in functions. That's it. Simple like that. Okay, so this is it. What we will do, we will play a little bit with this template if I have time. I hope I have. We will play a little bit with this template in order to show you that the code pipeline we deployed not only the changes in the Lambda function itself, but also this infrastructure for the Lambda. But before I go there, I need to show you how it looks in the console. So give me a second. I'm logging to my account because I'm the only one person I know who has the organization at home and federated accounts. So I need to keep my timing with my account. Okay, so hopefully you'll see this window. Now let's go to code commit first. In code commit, we already have this code which I show you here, right? And also we have multiple elements like pipelines, for example. So let's go to pipeline. And this is our pipeline created by CloudFormation. As you remember, I told you this step is obligatory. It has to be here. Then we have Lambda tests as a separate stage, build artifact as a separate stage, and also deploy Lambda as a separate stage with 3 actions. That's why we had the order 1, 2, 3. We can say, for example, for all those actions, run order 1, and they will be set in like one line and executed simultaneously, right? At the same time. Okay, so this is simple like that, let's say. What we will do now, I know that there is a new version of Lambda Power Tools. I know that we didn't talk about this, but here I'm using Lambda Power Tools, which is the observability tool for serverless in AWS. And as you can hear, I'm using here the version 1.24.2. So what I can do, I can use this specific nice, very short command, AWS serverless repo list application versions. For application ID means this layer, this long thing, Power Tools Python layer. I'm looking in region EU West 1. This is my profile defined for my CLI because I have multiple accounts. And this query here is interesting because it gives me the last version. Okay, so let's run it and we'll see what will happen. You see, we have 125.1. So if I not use this thing, I think it should give me error or list of the. Oh, you see, this is the first on the list, right? So if I do this again, but I remove this, I have all versions listed here. And I don't want it. So we remember it is 125.1. So let's change it. Okay. And I can push this to the repository. Hopefully it will be pushed. Okay. All right, so it is pushed. Where is my console? Okay, here. So first of all, I should have in my repositories the information that my just now. So you see this template was changed. I have 125, and when I go to pipelines, it should be already in progress. So my event was sent, right? There was a change in master branch, so my event is executed and started the pipeline. Right now, the test is built. We can go into details and see the log of it. Right, something happening here. So let's wait until it will be completed. Yep, it is. So now here we can see the two reports. The pipeline is going forward, and we will just focus for the second on these reports. So first is the test coverage. As you can see, this report looks very nice. It was added like 2 years ago, or maybe even less. So this reporting possibility to code build, which is very nice because this was a very missing thing. And please remember, I created this all with this infrastructure as code, right? So we have this one, this report, and also we have the report for the test unit tests. So there is a name, there is a prefix of it, the status, etc. Of course, the pipeline will fail if there will be error in unit tests, and it will fail if there will be the coverage under 80%. Okay, let's come back to our pipeline. One thing what I can show you more is these phases here. It is great thing to observe your performance of your CI/CD and find the bottlenecks. Okay, so this is still in progress, but where we are in the create change set part. So let's wait until this change set will be created. Meanwhile, I will go to CloudFormation. So we should be able to see this stack here is exactly the stack I showed you for the pipeline. Right? And this stack is created by our pipeline and contains the SAM model I showed. If we go to change sets, you see, we have the change set complete. So this stage for sure is ended. Yes, we are waiting for approval here, but let's go to change set. So this change set here contains the information about modifications which will be done. You remember we changed the version of the layer. So this Lambda function version will be removed. Lambda function itself will be modified. New Lambda function version will be added. and we will modify the alias and also the this Lambda layer. Right? So this element here can help you to understand what changes are done for the infrastructure, can be a base for changelog, can be a base for self-documentation. Now I can execute this change set here, but why? I have my pipeline, right? So I'm doing the review. I read the very informative comment. Okay, approve. And this change set should be executed in any second now. It is in progress. So we should, see that our change set is gone. It means that change set is implemented. And this should be succeeded in the second. Let's wait for this glorious moment where the pipeline will be finished. The refresh time for GUI is not that great, I will say, but it's not that bad as well. So it's not that dramatic. And here you can have also you can see also the information about the about our stack, what's going on inside this. Still the stack is in the process, right? So it is updating. It should be completed very soon. So you can see from different angles what's going on inside your pipeline as well. All right, I believe strongly that this will finish very soon. Yes, update complete. So success. So do we have the Lambda function? Yes, we have. Let's go there for a second. Just quick show that it works. Functions. This is this Lambda one. Lambda. We have this code here I showed you before, right? And also we have API. In this case, it will be one or two APIs. I don't remember. Two APIs. So this one. If we go to stage, we also you saw the definition of API was quite short, but also I have different stages created by SAM. So what is really quite nice, and when I go here to prod and I can execute this endpoint, I have my Lambda executed, right? So that's it for this part. And if you want to stay in touch, these are my the places where you can catch me. And I fully I have to say that, sorry, I fully support Ukrainian people today, and let's hope everything will be done very soon for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Pavel.
That's great.
Yeah, and definitely we share the same statement that you just made. So we do have a couple of questions for
Perfect.
you. Indeed,
someone listen.
So for me personally, this was quite a lot of new stuff for me, because I don't work with AWS very much. I did know they have some CI/CD tools, but I did not know they had so many small individual products around it. So that was definitely new for me. There's a question from one of our viewers. Would the same approach also work with other Git providers like GitHub instead of code commit?
Yes, they will. But there is a limitation, especially for if we are talking about AWS code pipeline. For GitHub, let's say the online version of GitHub or GitHub Enterprise, which can be installed on your on-prem, it will work perfectly fine. All events, all triggers, everything will be perfectly fine and easy to implement, create, and control. If we talk about Bitbucket, and we talk about Bitbucket online version, it will work. Almost. But if you will have this Bitbucket on-prem, forget about it, really. You can make this work, yes, but you need to do a lot of wiring. What I mean by that, you have to have Lambda functions which will control your bucket, your Bitbucket, continuously in every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, whatever. Then trigger the pipeline. The pipeline need to clone the code, so credential. It's sick.
You need a lot of
No,
content.
no. It will work for 1, 2, 5 repositories. For 50, you will have a, let's say, mild headache. If you have 1,000 repositories, what is not that big deal, right? To have that many, especially if you have a lot of Lambda functions, a lot of additional stuff like libraries, etc., etc. You will be lost, totally, completely. So it will work for some providers very well, for some better no.
Right.
Or better
Okay.
not.
That's a clear answer, definitely. So I also had a question for myself. So I was really wondering about what is the, let's say, the inner loop of the developer, right? So you make a change to not your code, but you make a change to the YAML file for the build definition, for instance. How easy can you make that change? Does it require a lot of iterations? Because normally when I do CI/CD stuff, it takes me about 20 iterations before I have a green dot on the screen. So is that a shared experience or?
So this is the difference between, let's say, the trenches and what managers thinks we are doing, right? Yeah, that's true, and it's very important that you have a very heavy checking system, or doing heavy checks during the pull request process. The thing is here that this approach, the problem with this approach and this kind of repository I showed, even if this is very close to GitOps, that no matter if you push change to the main cloud formation, to the SAM template, to the function code, or README, it will be executed. It makes no sense, right?
Okay.
So you need to start to limit what is the trigger, etc., 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 and it becomes more and more crazy, right? And the beauty is in simplicity, honestly. Yes, keeping this. So this is one part of the question which you didn't ask. The second part is yes, the main idea, at least at my work, is to give the possibility, or maybe not even the possibility, but the ownership to developers, right? So if they have the SIAM, if they have the CI/CD pipeline definition, if they have the infrastructure as coder, they need me to be their mentor, helping hand, right? More DevOps coach than DevOps engineer, which I hate it. Someone who can help them, let's be bold, to grow, right? And to have the full ownership for what they're doing. If I keep the pipelines, the definition of the pipelines, the definition of the infrastructure as code, etc., somewhere else in different repository, there will be no ownership there, because ownership is already splitted, and there will be no there will be too big noise between, right?
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, makes sense. Thanks.
Thank you. At least someone finds some sense in this.
Yes, yeah, and then someone else is saying here, thanks, Paul, great content. So people are happy with what you did. So thanks a lot.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for your contribution, Paul, and hope to see you next time.
Yep.
Before we have the 5-minute break, let me share my screen again because I actually forgot something during the intro. Yes, thank you. Because we forgot about one of the most important things. I mean, this is done by community members. So if you want to be a speaker, you want to help organize, or you have any ideas how we could improve something, please do let us know. You can email us at amsterdam@serverlessdays.io. You can find us on Twitter, ServerlessDMs, and of course the GitHub link, Discord link as well. So please do reach out. We are open for if you're very new to speaking, we can help you with that, help you prepare, help you practice. So please do get in touch if you want to help us.
Yeah, definitely get in touch if you want the Serverless Days conference to happen, because we're tired and we really need some help from like fresh, energetic people to make this happen. We would love to.
I love the honesty,
yeah.
Leon. Yeah.
I'm old now.
All right. Well, speaking of tired, we
Yeah.
can now deserve like a 5-minute break
Yes.
now. So let's continue in 5 minutes with our next speaker. So see you soon. All right,
We're
we
back.
are back. Yes.
5 minutes is not that long. I had to run to get to
We can make it a bit longer next time. Yeah. This is because now you are living in a much bigger house, so it takes longer to get
Yes,
from A
I
to
have
B,
to
or-
like go to a whole different level to get something to drink.
Oh my God! Yeah, I can.
know.
That is-
Horrible.
What a life!
Yeah, it's bad. Anyhow, so this is the part where I get to talk. Hooray! Yes, Mark. Please move aside. It's time for me. But I'm just going to talk for like 1 minute just to introduce our next speaker because that's much more interesting. So our next speaker is Jan or Yannick. And Yannick has come up with something that he called CQRS 3.0. So CQRS, you probably all know about that. I remember, Mark, I think at the first Serverless Days, you spoke about event-driven something.
Yeah, with Kenny indeed. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
like 500 years ago, it feels like.
it feels like it. Yeah.
So you will probably find this talk very interesting. I'm definitely very interested because it's CQRS 3.0, the serverless solution. So can we welcome Jan to the stage?
Welcome.
There we go. The professor.
Oh no, please don't say it.
So, very excited about your talk. Do you want to just get into it right now?
I would, yes.
Yeah?
I would say yes. No? Thank you for having me. Yeah. It's my very first time. I have to say, it's the very first time that I speak in English. This talk, I had it for a few times already in German because I'm German. But
Yay, Germans.
yeah. Sorry, sorry. But I guess you will hear it later on. So you explained me with Jan or Yannick. Yannick is the official name for conferences and friends, and Jan is the official name for the official people. So
Okay, Yannick it is then.
Yes.
Good
It's
to
my
know.
nickname, longer than the usual name, but yeah. Yeah. Actually it's a short story, but now it's a long story. And I have to talk about something different.
Right, there's your introduction then. So
Thank you.
Yannick,
Yeah.
please take it away.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, as you know, or as you heard, I'm Yannick. No, I'm from Germany, and this is as I said, the first time that I talk about. No, not about. I talk a long time about CQRS, but about this talk in English. So I'm Microsoft Azure MVP. This is something probably you should know or you can know. And I work at Media Lesson GmbH, a Microsoft company, so to say. Let's switch to the talk. I will talk about CQRS 3.0, the serverless solution. But before I talk about CQRS, I will explain a little bit why CQRS is so important for me. And a little bit the history of CQRS. So that is what I mean. What I mean this here, it's OOP is CQRS, and then we will switch to CQRS. Probably you know something about object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming means we have some components or classes, entities, something like that. I will write down here a master. Let's have an A master data MGM for management. It's too long, the word master data management class. And this master data management class has some or a few methods or functions. And one of them is save product. And we put some data here in it. Probably we put a product class in it or entity in it, but we will return a product too. Oops, it's not a R, it's a PRR duct. So This is very common. And the second function, one of a bunch of functions on this class, is get product. So we put an ID here in and get back product. Okay, fine. I would say everybody in this stream know this kind of classes or components. It depends a bit. I wrote a lot of this type things here, types, and after a while, because I'm in software development since around about 30 years, and I started with CQRS in 2000, I would say 12, 10-ish. So it depends a little bit. So, but later for that. This is a typical class for, I would say, enterprise applications. But this is not really an object-oriented programming style. A few of you will say, why not? It's an object, it's inherit from object and so on. It's a class, we can use it everywhere. And so, no, it isn't. Because in the definition of object of OOP, I will say it in the short version, in OOP, they say an object has to do only one thing. This object, in this type, is doing two things. We have here get, so read, and we have an write. These are two things. So, okay, when we have this thing, so let's switch more this object into an object-oriented, by definition thing. That means we remove this part here and remove this part here. Okay. We keep the save method here. I don't have really a name for this class because I will switch to a different thing, but I have a name for the next thing is master data repository. I will make a question mark here. Is it a repository? A repository have functions for save as well. So no, it's not a repository. I will switch to a better name. Let's call it read model. Sounds good. It's an object which reads data. So we have to get product ID and back is product. Fine. That's great. This is object. This is OOP, object-oriented thing. We have our save method. In this component, we can save only things here in the master data. We have all of our save methods in this object, and we have all of our read methods here in this class or object. So in this case, OOP is fine. And actually this CQS is fine as well. CQS means is the CQS that I have. Yes, I have enough space. CQS means command. Oops. New pens. Query segregation. So that means we have our command part. This is here, save something, do something. Actually, we can not only do save here, for example, put data in the basket or so. I put product in the basket. So we have some business processes here also. This is the command side. Command. And this is the query side. Get some data. We have a query. Give me, please, the product to this ID. Okay. Oops. query. And segregation means we have it separated in two different objects, or segregated in two different objects. So in this case, it would be, it's great. We have an OOP style, everything is fine. But if you do this, or if you go this way, you will have actually, after a while, well-programmed monolith. It can be distributed, this monolith, because you can put all these classes in different web services or so. But in the end, always it's in monolith. You have a lot of dependencies between all that. You have the product here and you have the product here. And actually, here's a second problem, or a next problem. Let's say it's the next problem. Because are you sure what is happening behind this method? Do you know exactly what happened behind this method? You can't, because you get a result back from this method. I would say it can happen that someone put the data here into, let's say it's the entity product. I'm going to make here a marker. Oh, black is okay. Product. I put it in here. But if you get back the same product here, I have an assumption. I think the data from this product will change a little bit so that you will get back the new data in this product. For example, the ID. Many, me as well, developers send the data to the database, create a new ID from the database for this entity, and send the ID back to the UI or backend or something like that. This means the logic of creating some ID stuff is in the database. It is not in the logic, and so on. We have a distributed logic. Wow, this is not what we want to develop. So I see here a problem. Yes, we have this command query segregation thing here. This is the style, but it's the wrong style in the end. We have to remove this part, this product here. But the style is right. And now the CQRS comes in. It's better, the CQRS means actually remove this part here. But I will first have some different explanations. First, I will draw the picture from Greg Young, actually the inventor of CQRS. And as he drew this picture or this explanation, it was very full of information and infrastructure stuff. But the picture is right, and I will have a simpler version here. Wait, CQS, command query segregation is happening. Let's move to the CQRS picture, and I have to remove all this stuff here. So, black, red. Red is only for communication, actually, and this is just for having borders. Blue is for logical stuff, or no, for database stuff, and green is for logical stuff. Hopefully, I will have the right colors now. First, as Greg Young drew the picture long time ago, he started with the usual thing called UI. Of course. And he said it makes more sense for send a message. Yes, I will have it in black, keep it in black. Send a message to a bus. Then we have a service command handler. It's intentional that it's so ugly. I have a command handler. This command handler received this message, and something is happening here called domain. So some people would say it's business logic. Okay, I'm a little bit fine with this word, but not really. And second is domain. When it's done, it sends the next thing to something. Let's call it event handler. Event handler. As I said, it's intentional that it's ugly. So event handler, this event handler knows something about databases, and then we have a facade here. Facade, zack. And this facade allows to have queries here.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Jan, your image is frozen for us, so we don't see any updates. So
Why?
I do not know. Maybe you need
at
give something a kick.
At the important stuff. What can I do? Can I do my... Wait, I will take a look here. No, my OBS is fine so far.
Okay.
Switch on, off the camera, stop the camera, and I switch on again. I will try. No, it keeps. And my browser? No. Maybe settings. I will switch to the stream.
Okay, we give Yannick a opportunity to reconnect. There.
No.
It's still frozen. Maybe you should stop the virtual camera in OBS and restart the virtual camera in OBS.
Maybe this is one of the thing. But so no. I've refreshed the web page as well already. Should I close the browser and enter the session again? Maybe because OBS says everything is fine, and only the browser says no.
Okay, let's do that. Are you using Chrome, by the way, or are you using something else?
It's the Brave.
Please try Chrome, because StreamYard is
I don't have this Chrome thing.
Chrome or Edge or yeah.
Okay, I can switch to Edge. Switch to Edge.
Let's do that. Yeah, I'm on Edge as well.
Here's this decision.
It's always fun to do live debugging of online meetups, right?
Enter in
We'll
the
get there.
setup I have. So I will leave the
yes, and we'll see you back shortly.
For a shot.
I had the same issue because I don't have Chrome installed and I use Firefox, and I always forget that StreamYard only likes Chrome.
Indeed. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. To be honest, I'm now using Edge, and that's working well. But indeed, I do know that it doesn't.
You're really going all in on the whole Microsoft thing. Do you also have a Surface?
Well, yes, yeah, not enough.
It wasn't even a joke. I was completely serious. Nice.
Yeah. No, yeah. I do like their stuff, but
Eric suggested to switch OBS scenes. We can suggest that next time.
Okay, yeah, it's helpful that the audience is helping. Yeah.
And then we also see who's watching, right? Like we just should introduce intentional
we should do this
bugs
on purpose, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we should do some like chaos engineering in the online meetups.
Wow. Yeah, you know how like people are more likely to talk to you if they disagree on something?
Yeah, or think, yeah, in case
Yeah.
stuff
Or
is not.
like, have you tried switching it off and on again?
Yeah. Oh,
But,
this is nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I was
yeah.
gonna say at the beginning that am very impressed that Yannick would. Oh yeah,
Ooh, yes.
you're
Yeah.
back.
This is very strange. So without OBS, maybe without OBS.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, we can hear you good.
Yeah.
Okay,
See
fine.
you fine.
So fine. So then I have no headlines. Okay, it's not a problem. But it's strange because the picture first was frozen too. Okay, let's talk later about.
All right. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah.
Okay. So I was at the point of domain, and then it was frozen. Okay. When the domain is done to change something in the status or so, it sends events to the event handler. This is the picture from or the meaning of Greg Young. The event handler puts the data in a database, and the database is wrapped within facade so that the UI can send queries to this facade and get the data back. This is actually the idea from Greg Young, but it is too many infrastructure here. So I will remove the picture first and will explain you what he meant with this picture. Because the most interesting part is from CQRS is, as you saw the picture before, we had the CQS stuff, and we had this classes separated. We had this save here and get here and this part, and this is fine so far. And in the same way, you can create CQRS applications. But as I said, in the end, it's more or less a big monolith separated into some services or so. The most advantage of CQRS isn't here in this model then, or in the code. This is why I show you the better picture. Remove the black and put the red in. So we have our UI again, and we separate the part of, as I said, the write part and the read part. Why? Why do we separate this write and read part? Because of two numbers. These two numbers means 20% and 80%. Your application is more it's more reading stuff or reading data instead of writing data. So why we use the same database for write the data for a read model? A typical relational database have a few tables and foreign keys, and everything is somewhere joined. Yeah? And if you try to read the data, you have to call some views or so, and it takes time. But why we have this foreign key stuff? Because of the write side. If you want to store the data in a very secure way or safe way, you need these foreign keys in a relational database. And this is actually the problem. You have everything in one database, and so your application isn't fast in writing or fast in reading. It's something in between. So, and as Greg Young drew this picture, he thought about this thing actually and put the event sourcing stuff or event sourcing model, yeah, in this picture too. Actually, because of this problem of we have 20% of writing and 80% of reading. Next thing, UI. The UI sends a command to the domain. Because of Greg had this word in his explanation or in this picture, we from the DDD community, we love this CQRS and event sourcing because he showed us more or less where you can put your domain knowledge and logic stuff. You have one place. You can have all the decisions here in your software. This is great. So, and the UI sends the command. Oh, I should put back the orange here. So, sends the command into the domain as message. Don't talk about this way here. It's fine. Huh? This message, then the domain is doing this logical things, the domain stuff. And when the domain is done, puts first the data as kind of event. Maybe later we'll talk about these models. Put this data of event in a database. And this is the event store. Later I will explain it. And after that, the domain sends the same event to a second service or a next service. I call it event. Yes, no place, make space. Handler. It's an usual service, whatever you like. Put the event here. And this event handler puts the data in a next database. And the special thing here is the event store stores the data only. It's only storing. It's only insert, or it's an append only storage. Put the data in. Never delete. Deletion is not allowed. So the event handler puts the data here in a second data storage, whatever you like. But here the data are prepared only for read actions, more or less. Okay, for sure. You have to update some data here, but the data are here prepared for the UI. So event handler, and we can put here in, let's call it query handler or read model thing service. Query handler. And this query handler reads the data from this database. And of course, if the UI needs data, we send a query. And gets the data back. So command. And this is an event. So for everybody who don't know what is this type here, it's just a DTO. It's a message class. Actually, I use the class name as command description, do something this, and my payload is, or my properties is the payload for all the data we need to change the status here in the domain. The same stuff is for the event. Of course, it's DTO as well. But here the event name or the class name is the same like the event name. In the event store, the data are a little bit different to this event. We have some wrapped stuff around this. The same event here and the query as well. Same thing. A class or a message with a specific name so that the query handler knows what are you want, what are, kind of data you need. This is my picture from CQRS. Maybe this is the usual picture of CQRS, a little bit simpler, because all the infrastructure is away, more or less. You can imagine this is, for example, a web application. This is a web service, maybe, or REST service, RESTful service. This event handler, the event handler needs a little bit logic, because if a specific event is come in and they have to know the event handler what data we have to update and so on. So I would say this is more or less a web service actually, and this domain could be a bunch of web services or one of them and so on. In any case, you can decide what type of technology to use. The same is for this communication thing. You can put in here a bus or a direct connection, HTTP also. Okay, fine. From my perspective, this is the most flexible architecture, software architecture ever. And yeah, since I know this CQRS, I try to realize all the projects in this style. Sometimes it works, sometimes not. But to come to the next chapter here in this talk is I want to explain the 3 different versions of CQRS I've developed, and yes, why I'm stuck in the 3rd version now. Okay, the time says it's fine, so I would go to the 1st version, CQRS 1. Jetzt place here, or enough space. CQRS 1. Maybe if you're not familiar with this topic CQRS, you enter it in your search engine of your choice, you will find some explanations, and the most of them are in this CQRS 1 style. I will show you why I think you will find this. No, I can't show you why it is, but what the 1st version is. I developed this 1st version, and this is great because it works. I developed this 1st version in 2011, it was. I was freelancer, and someone asked me, can you help me to save the company? They have a project and all of the developers are quit, and I was the only one, and the second came later. And we said to the boss, hey, we have an idea. Let's implement a CQRS system, an event-driven system, and maybe it works or not. But in the end, it worked. It works already. And I will show you what we did, and later we found it in the documentations too. Of course, the UI will never change. UI is always the same thing here. We have some web application or desktop application, whatever you like. We have created a command handler layer. Command handler, close the box here. Command handler layer. This UI talks. It's an already running system with a command message. A and D. Sometimes it's hard to write an A. I don't know why. Command handler. This command handler was connected or is connected to a big ball of, no, not much, a big ball of aggregates. Because in the domain-driven design, we are talking about contexts and aggregates and so on. The technical part in a CQRS solution of version 1 is the aggregate. Mostly we have a base class called aggregate root, and then we have some aggregates. They do stuff, they instantiate some entities, and so on. let me put here an aggregate in. Great. For example, master data. This is our master data management thing as aggregate. And the command says store in product or put in product in our storage, whatever. This is the command, put it. Always the command is, yeah, as you know, it is a command. So this aggregate will rise up. What is the English word? I don't know. Booting. Yes, this is the right word for this. What we say in the German version from the CQRS. Hochfahren boots up when the command handler knows this aggregate it's needed. This command comes in. Okay, I know this master data aggregate is needed. So yeah, boot it up. In this time, when in the boot time, the command handler. I need a bit more stuff here. I close the huge box here. I put a database here in. This is our event store. ES. This command handler takes all the data from. Keep it in blue. Take the data from here. Events. A lot of events. Not a lot of events. Takes all the events which fits to this master data aggregate and sends the events in the aggregate method, aggregate thing. And here now happens something which is linked, absolutely linked to this version. I take red as signal color. It will call the apply method. Any event, so for example, we have 500 events. We read it from the database, from the events store. The command handler takes all the events and send it to this apply method. And all the 500 events calls 500 times the apply method. And this apply is prepares all the data in this aggregate object for some properties and entities and so on. Everything of that will prepare them. This apply method is a magic method, actually. I don't know how it is now, but in 2011, it was a huge bunch of reflection stuff. Call this method and find the fields and put the data in it and so on. And it takes a while, actually. It is fast, but it takes a while. And in the end, it was a little bit, we don't know what we have to do here. Actually, it feels a little bit strange. So we need a different thing. We need a different way. This apply is absolutely linked to the version 1. I can say, good, right here down. It's the apply version. Actually, it feels strange. So then we changed a little bit in this behavior and said, okay, let's remove this apply. Let's go to a non-reply version, the second. Second version. So what has changed? Actually nothing, but I need a little bit more space for explanation. So I moved the database on this part here. The same database like in the version 1. Event store. The command handler takes the data when the command comes in. This command handler knows which aggregate is needed. Master data. Yeah. Let's switch to a better example. Master data. We don't have the master data. We have our employees. Employees. Double E. I don't know. Maybe employees. But better is to say, let's take only one. I don't know. Employee. Maybe double E or not. Let's aggregate. The big change here is now we have a I need more hands. We have a event stream. This is actually the same thing as we had in the first version, but now we have a better name for that. This command handler takes this event stream and moves this stream in the employee aggregate. Event stream. Unchanged. Absolutely unchanged. The only thing is we have filtered here some of the events in this command is an ID or something like that, which events you need for this employee. Okay, fine. And now we have around about 20 events or so. And now we can work with the event stream. Why? Because the event stream has a very special behavior, which is, from my perspective, a mindset changer. It changed the thinking about data or data handling. What is an event stream? We have some events. One event, second event, third event, and so on. Here's a timeline. For example, the first event could be, we have a new employee now. This employee signed the contract. Contract signed. Contract signed. Okay, fine. The next event is, for example, this employee. We have a few data in this event. A few data. First name, last name, birth date, address, something like that. Everything is stored in this event. The second event could be name changed. No, not name changed. Why the hell can someone change the name, the last name, for example? Because of married? Ah, okay. This employee has married. Oh, no, I don't know. Married? Maybe it's wrong. So hopefully you know what I mean. Is married. Is it possible for someone who can married if he or she is already married? This is the logic question, and this logic question is part of this stream actually. Let's imagine on this the employee signed the contract. He or she wasn't married, so we can put this event here in the stream. When this employee says, "I've married again," we can't put the next event here as married because we have already an event here, and you can't marry twice. Actually, not in Europe, I think so. So this is a logical issue. You can't. You need a different event before, and maybe you know some of them. But when you have this stream of data as an event stream, you can have logical questions here, you can get answers here. Instead of reading data, apply all this data, have a last status of your aggregate, and then you can't have some logic answers. In many cases, in the CQRS first version, a lot of people put then status fields in private status fields in the objects or in the aggregate. It's already married and so on. The logic will compute more or less in the apply message, apply functions. This is not the way we like. We like to work with this event stream or working on the event stream. This is the name of the version 2. Working on event stream. Maybe. So, working on event stream. This is the big change from the version 1 to the version 2. Working on a stream. Don't take all the data, put it in the apply method, recreate this aggregate, and deal with the data then in the end. No, for any logical step or command or thing, business logic thing you need, you have to deal with. Take the stream, always take the stream, never apply the stream. Think about what can happen, what is the logical thing, and this is the moment that you start to think in the domain, in the business domain. You have to know what is happened before or have to be, which kind of events you need, and so on to change the status. You can have logical questions on all your data all the time, and this is great. This is absolutely great. No? But I talk about the version 3. Why? Because all of this stuff is more or less infrastructure. It's a lot of infrastructure. You need this databases. You have to handle here in the command handler some database connection stuff and so on. I became crazy, more or less. Yeah. Oh no, I don't like this deal with all this infrastructure things. I like a different version. And as I started in 2016 to work with Azure Functions, I moved into the serverless world. Actually not, because I lived already in the serverless world, but nobody knows that, or nobody said this name to this, because the first services from Microsoft, from Azure, are the storage account, and the storage account is by design serverless. And I used the storage account since 2008 or so, I don't know. And the first time as I saw this function, I thought, "Wow, crazy! This is what I want," because the functions have one crazy feature, and I don't know if the lambdas have it too. Maybe yes, but I didn't look at this already. I will explain now the version 3, the serverless version, of course. And now I have to remove actually everything except the UI. The UI, it's okay. Keep it. Don't cry, UI. Oh, and now we have my version 3. I don't know who would say it's not official version 3. It's my version. So we have the UI here, and yes, we have again our command. We send this command in somewhere. Maybe we have an URL REST service, and this REST service is very special because I call it, is it blue? Yes, it's blue. I call it context. Now, I told you I told you in the DDD world, we have this aggregates, we have subdomains, we have contexts, we have entities. The first versions of the CQRS have this aggregates too, and actually they have context as well. And so, but it was a little bit strange to deal with all these objects because in many cases, I wasn't able to explain exactly what an aggregate is. So why I have an object called aggregate something something, and why I have an object I can't explain why it exists. So I changed, or a few friends of mine, we changed to the aggregate-less CQRS. We changed to context. We have only contexts, and in this context, we work with the stream, of course. And this stream is still stored in the event store, for sure. And the context and the event store are connected by a feature. I put it between, but it's not that big, it's very small. I call it, or we call it, custom binding. I've put all the infrastructure code in one object or in one library, very small library. It's a custom binding. It's a data stream or domain event stream. It's here. It's my domain event stream. And this binding, maybe a few of you know what I'm talking about when I say the functions. This is this part here. Make it yellow. We have the bindings here. Every time when a function will start, we have some attributes about over the above the function name, and this is a kind of binding, and this binding will start before the function will execute it. And this binding, the first thing is I know what kind of data I need. I have a context thing. I know what is the entity name, the name of the entity. For example, we have our, I don't know, people management context or master data context, and one of the entity is product or so. Then we have it's a string, product or an order or whatever. Name it. You know what kind of entities you have, because take a look into your database and you have a lot of entities there. Entity, and sometimes it's optional, and this is an ID to the entity. These are 3 values I need to filter the data from the event store, and bring it back as stream to the context. If the context need the data. This is lazy loading in this case, and this lazy loading, the name of the lazy loading, you know what it is. Loads the data then when it's need. If not, you haven't any communication on the wire here. So, in this custom binding, it's in, I would say, how called it? It's two-way communication. Because in this context, we can put data in this domain stream as well, or we can put it back. The first thing is, So first, it's optional read of stream. In many cases, actually in any case, you have a command and this command raises an event. Raises the wrong word here actually, because it's sent an event to the bus system or so, but leads to an event. Leads to an event is better. So, and this event will be put here in this binding back in the domain event stream, and this domain event stream decides now. First, I have to put the event. Event. It's too small, I guess. I have enough space here. Event. First, put the event in the event store. This is the very first and the most important storage we have here in our CQRS thing. Event. It's the very first thing. And the second step is take the same event and put it into a service bus. Of course. So, event. So, on this service bus, you can imagine what is here on the service bus. We have the next serverless thing, the event handler. And this event handler have a following pen binding on the service bus. So I use the context as channels or as topics, but this is not necessary, but I take it. Now we have the event handler here. Through this binding, we get this event on the serverless way, So event handler here, and this event handler now takes the data, knows everything about what the event is meant, and puts the data into a relational database or whatever you like. Data. So actually the same thing as the version 2, except all of the server stuff. I've put all the infrastructure code in this simple custom binding, in this simple domain event. And yeah, a little bit in this binding too. And a little bit notification here as well to send some information to the UI, but this is not the important thing here now. I've separated everything. The infrastructure here, this is the code for what the customers paid for. This is a little bit handling to put the data here in the database. And the last service we have, again, query handler or read model. Sometimes I call it query handler, sometimes I call it read model. It depends. So, and the UI in red, is connected to this query handler and sends again. So, nice picture, much better than the last time. Okay, as I said, I have put all the infrastructure code now here in this one binding, use this here in my context functions. It's a bunch of functions. Any context have at least one function or more. The event handler is more or less not reachable for the UI. This is not an HTTP endpoint. This is mostly an HTTP thing. The query handler, it's a typical, I would say, or call it a RESTful service. Now, reads the data from here. And that's actually, it is the solution. And since I use this thing, I have only one problem. Sometimes it's the service bus, but it is solvable because it's not fast enough, and sometimes some functions are too fast here. Yeah, so in the end, I would say this is my solution of 3.0, and I call it the serverless solution. Fine. So I think the time is over. The picture is complete. Thank you for your, I don't know, the time? No, in time, or is it in time? It is in time, right?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. Even with the technical difficulties, you did very well on time.
Okay, fine.
Congratulations.
I'm really impressed. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, also how you got back into it, like that was really professional.
sorry.
No worries. All right. So I think do we have any questions? We do definitely have some questions from Mark.
Okay,
so
fine. I can't read it from this.
It's totally
distance.
fine. I will tell the questions, and then you can stand there, and you can even draw up the answer if you want to. So this question comes from Mark. Interesting name. He wants to know, are developers in general comfortable enough to apply CQRS in your experience?
Oh, actually not, because it changed so much in the way how to develop an application. Maybe from my perspective, the game developers are the best CQRS developers because they know what is an event-driven system. But if you come from a typical enterprise application development environment, it is very hard to switch in this direction first. But after a while, I think around about 2 weeks, you will never go back. Never.
Do you feel like there's something that's common in how enterprise developers maybe misunderstand this concept? Do you see any patterns there?
Okay, compared to what? Actually?
Compared to game developers.
So to game, yes. I was game developer, not really, but game developer for around about 2 years. And as I found out that all these eventing things in a game loop, you have only a running thing always, and you have to listen always on changes. This is very different status changes. If the data changes, this is a status change. It's different to the typical enterprise application development because you have data here, put some data in it. It's not fast enough. You take this one entity, change some data here. You don't inform anything. You have no notifications or so. In this case, in the CQRS case, you have a lot of notifications actually by these events. Or on this side for the service bus. You can listen on any status changes. Is this the right word, Mark? I don't know.
No, I think status changes sounds like the right word. What is your experience, Mark? Would you agree? Is that something that you've also experienced?
Yes, because I've worked a lot with enterprise clients, and most of those experiences were, let's say, more geared towards traditional development, having a big chunky database where you do both reads and writes and things like that, and not really event driven. And especially indeed, and nowadays serverless is just all about event driven.
Yes, the interesting thing is any business application is full of business events.
Yes,
something has happened here, something has happened there.
Oh, yes, definitely.
In SAP, I have something stored here. Something has changed. This is an event, but nobody is listening on this event. Everybody is taking a look into the database. Oh yes, the data has changed. Yes, 5 minutes before. Wait.
Yeah, indeed. It will be some time before indeed they steer into this direction, I think.
So would you say then that you should just be event driven in any kind of business context, or would you say there's like some kind of use cases where you would discourage people from doing event-driven design?
It's a very common question, and I would say only in the IoT environment it's not the best way to go event-driven, because you have too much events. You need some filters for that. But after the filtering thing, you can have events again, or event-driven system, event sourcing.
Yeah.
So the answer should be, or could be, yes in any case.
If you have the computational power for it.
Yeah, you don't need much. I can put. I for a long time, just for demonstration
Purposes?
Purposes. Yes, thank you. I've put an event store on a Raspberry Pi, and it was light speed, with millions of events. Yes, it works. And it's very simple, because it's only a stream here in this case. You don't need a lot of cores or so. It's okay. One stream, take it and leave it.
Cool. So, okay, there's another question coming in from Mark Dowker. Who's asking, do you have any code samples that you could share? I don't know if you want to write them down on your whiteboard.
This custom binding is at GitHub. Yes. Take a look. Is this? Yes. GitHub.
If you could draw that QR code for us to scan, that would be
Of course.
amazing.
Wait a moment. Is this Jodfelin? I think it's Jodfelin. I have two nicknames, short names. No, Jodfelin. It's so, and there is a repository called, I think, I forgot the name. Custom binding domain event stream, something in this. I'm quite unsure.
I am trying to find this
Yeah.
right now. So you're saying it's custom binding. Azure Functions custom binding? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
maybe this could be.
Okay. I can't post it in the comments, but I can put it in the private chat, and then maybe Mark, you can put it in the comments for our viewers.
I can click here to take a look.
Is it the Azure Functions extensions domain event streams?
Oh,
or is it
this
the
is-
Azure
this
Functions
is-
custom binding?
It's the different thing. Yes, as you did the first, you said.
The Azure Functions extensions
Yeah.
domain event stream.
Genau. Right. This is domain events. So sorry.
No.
I just go into the directory, enter
on
on
the
the
fly,
console,
right?
git push, git pull, and so on. That's it. I don't know. Who cares the name?
No, because I really stand behind this this approach. I didn't use any version numbers myself, but I see this working as well. So this is I think it's a good.
No,
approach to
I'm still working on this custom binder, of course. It is now I have an Cosmos DBS event store and a SQL Server Canary event store B2. I found an issue, but I will not explain what and why. You have to find it by yourself.
Yeah, or people can ask about it on Discord, right? So because we are at the end of our live stream anyway, so feel free to engage on Discord, and they should of course contribute to the repo, raise issues there.
Thank you. Oh, I can't see you.
Thank you very much.
We still see you fine, by the way.
Yeah, but so now I can see you too. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks so much for your time and the presentation and the code example. That was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for your contribution. I liked it.
Great. Yeah, see you soon, hopefully.
I
don't
hope
know.
so too. So yeah, we're at the end, as Mark said, and we're coming back in about 4 weeks. I think it's the 6th of April. And I don't want to promise too much, but we are evaluating the possibility to go back to in-person, possibly hybrid, possibly, we don't know yet. But something in person would be great.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we'll let you know soon enough.
Exactly. So yeah, have a nice night. Mark, do you have some final words to send us off?
Well, again, if you want to just try out some public speaking and it's related to serverless, please reach out to any one of us or use the email amsterdam@serverlessdays.io, and hope to see you next time.
Yay, bye.
Bye, everyone.